During his visit to Venezuela, OPEC Secretary General Haytham Al-Ghais highlighted the country's importance as an oil producer in the midst of the global energy situation. Armenia-Azerbaijan conflict has left at least 100 dead so far in a new outburst of hostilities, while the international community urges the parties to find a solution to the conflict. And the United Nations Secretary General warned of possible multiple famines this year around the world despite grain deal. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The Secretary General of the Organization of Oil Exporting Countries, Haytham Al-Ghais, toured the facilities of the Venezuelan state-owned oil company PDVSA during his visit to the country. The Secretary General's visit to Caracas takes place as part of the celebration of the 62nd anniversary of the multilateral organization and with the aim of reaching agreements to stabilize the world oil market. The official was accompanied by the Venezuelan Minister of Petroleum, Tarek El Aissami, together with other authorities of this nation to visualize the exhibition Venezuela Energy Power at the PDVSA facilities. During his speech, El Aissami pointed out that the years 2020 and 2021 were the most difficult years for the organization due to the COVID-19 pandemic, military conflicts, and Western sanctions.
The years 2020 and 2021 were the most complex for the organization, marked by the complicated crisis generated by the COVID-19 pandemic, and more recently by the uncertainties resulting from the conflicts in some countries of the world, and by the senseless position of the West, which I do not hesitate to qualify as a colonialist obsession in these times of pluricentric and multipolar humanity. The world no longer tolerates imperial positions, unilateral sanctions, and much less a unipolar vision that is incompatible with these times.
In addition, the Venezuelan official highlighted the high percentage of compliance by OPEC Plus with the agreed goals and its relevance in world economic stability.
The percentage of compliance has been successful, showing a cumulative average of 146% from May 2020 to July 2022, and so overcoming the existing situation and making OPEC once again the warrantor of economic stability and of reliable supply compliance for the benefit of producing, investing, and consuming countries.
For his part, OPEC Secretary General Haytham Al-Ghais reiterated the important role played by Venezuela within the organization.
Venezuela has been an important member of our monitoring mechanism, the Ministerial Joint Monitoring Committee. Venezuela has played a vital role in ensuring that this committee efficiently fulfills its mandate and proactively responds to market conditions as they evolve in real time.
Al-Ghais stressed that Venezuela has contributed essential principles of cooperation and unity within the organization of all exporting countries.
Venezuela, as a founding member of OPEC, has played a unique role in the evolution of OPEC and in the remarkable successes achieved over the past 62 years. The land of Bolivar has elevated to our organization some essential principles of the great liberator, such as cooperation between nations, unity, and respect for national sovereignty.
Luis Ignacio Lula da Silva, candidate for the Together for Brazil coalition, maintains his lead in electoral preference with just over 2 weeks to go before the presidential election. A Quest survey published on Wednesday shows an 8 percentage point advantage between Lula da Silva and Jair Bolsonaro. The data contrasts with the 15-point difference shown by Monday's survey conducted by OPEC and a third one by Datafolha published on Friday, which shows a difference of 11 points. Experts attribute the difference to the sampling techniques used by each organization, but point out that Lula's advantage allows considering the possibility of a victory in the first round. On September 13th, Brazil's far-right president Jair Bolsonaro said he will not step down after the elections this October unless he decides it was a clean election. Many observers view this as one more in a series of threats he has made to enact an auto coup if he loses the election. A correspondent in Brazil, Brian Meir, has more.
For the last year, Brazil's far-right president Jair Bolsonaro and military generals serving in his cabinet have been threatening to disrespect the election results if former President Lula, who is leading in all of the polls, wins the elections. This has led many observers to believe that the military may support an auto coup this October.
The big problem of the backwards bourgeois leading Brazil is that Lula did what they were never able to do for the nation and the people. So today they are afraid of us coming back because the population will certainly remember this, and it will be very hard for them to take back power in the future.
President Bolsonaro and his defense minister have made a series of baseless claims that the electronic voting system, which has never been hacked in the 30 years since it was implemented, is susceptible to fraud. They've created a new department in the army called the Cybernetic Crime Division and are pressuring the Electoral Court to allow it to audit the elections.
How can the leaders of the Brazilian military meddle in the elections? This isn't their role. Elections belong to the people, and the people are showing that they prefer to rebuild Brazil with Lula.
A recent internal study commissioned by the defense minister that was leaked to the press shows that both the Air Force and Navy Command would be willing to support an auto coup in October, but the leadership of most state military police forces and the Army, which is twice as large as the Air Force and Navy combined, are opposed to any rupture with democracy.
Today the conditions needed for a coup are in place. Even though they want to do it, when they complain about the electronic voting system, they're trying to set a mood for a coup. But the Brazilian people and the national and international political context will not yet allow this kind of adventure.
With Brazil's presidential elections less than 20 days away, the population nervously awaits their results. Brian Mir, teleSUR, Recife.
Let's take a short break now. Join us again after this. Welcome back from the south. New clashes erupted between Azerbaijan and Armenia on Wednesday as international peace efforts intensified a day after both nations witnessed their deadliest violence since 2020. The latest confrontation killed 100 service members, while each side blamed the other for the fighting that broke out along their border. This recent violence is the worst escalation of hostilities between the two countries since the 2020 war and a ceasefire brokered by Russia that ended the large-scale fighting. Although tensions had been increasing between both nations for months, with localized shelling and gunfire causing several casualties, the latest clashes surprised many for their ferocity. There were concerns that the violence would set back the efforts to get the countries to sign a peace accord. China demanded the United States to abide by the One China principle and the provisions of the Free China-U.S. joint communiques. The Chinese government also called the U.S. to stop taking provocative actions on the Taiwan Strait. During a routine media briefing, Mao Ning, spokesperson for the Chinese Foreign Ministry, said only by returning to the One China principle and the 1992 consensus can peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait be effectively ensured. The spokesperson also highlighted that the root cause of the current tensions is that the One China principle has been challenged and the Democratic Progressive Party authorities have kept pursuing a separatist agenda. According to Western media, the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee is expected to have a draft of the so-called Taiwan Policy Act on Wednesday. South Korea on Wednesday fined Google and Meta a combined $72 million for tracking the online behaviors of consumers without proper consent and using their information for targeted advertisements. The country's Personal Information and Protection Commission stated it fined Google with $50 million and Meta with $22 million after a panel meeting where officials agreed that the company's business practices would potentially put users at risk of serious privacy infringement. The Commission said that the fines represented South Korea's biggest penalties issued for privacy law violations. They also ordered the companies to provide an easy and clear process of consent. Taiwan's representative in the United States hosted dozens of international lawmakers from Europe, Asia, and Africa in the latest move to persuade fellow countries to stand against China. Around 60 lawmakers, members of the Interparliamentary Alliance on China, gathered in Washington as its annual meeting is held this week. IPAC members are expected to sign an agreement to encourage their respective governments to adopt greater actions against the People's Republic of China. The coalition was established on June 4, 2020, and it comprises over 100 members of parliament from around the world. Tensions between China and Taiwan increased after U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited the island, a move China denounced as a violation of its sovereignty. Swedish Prime Minister Magdalena Andersson announced Wednesday that she will resign after the center-left bloc's defeat by the right-wing opposition in Sunday's parliamentary elections was confirmed. According to the Swedish electoral authorities, after 99.7% of the electoral districts were counted, the right-wing coalition led by Ulf Kristersson won by 3 seats in parliament, some 176 to 173. In this sense, Andersson called a press conference to announce that she will resign this Thursday and announced that she will continue to lead the Social Democratic Party. The premier was in office for 10 months, marked by political instability and the fact of ending 2 centuries of military neutrality to request Sweden's entry into the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Health authorities in Pakistan report Wednesday an outbreak of waterborne diseases in areas affected by recent floods in the country. Waterborne diseases have sickened thousands of people, including at least 90,000 cases of diarrhea. Citizens now fear for the transmission of dengue due to the high spread of mosquitoes due to stagnant water. Authorities at the government-run Khairpur hospital report that several of the patients admitted are children who are in critical condition. More news coming up after a financial break, so don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned of possible multiple famines this year despite a grain deal. During a press conference, Guterres said that despite the Black Sea Grain Initiative and the agreement to bring Russian food and fertilizers to global markets, there is real risk of multiple famines for several regions of the world. The Joint Coordination Center located in Istanbul to monitor the implementation of the Grain Initiative noted that since the signing of the agreement, only 28% of Ukrainian grain shipments went to low-income countries and 44% to high-income countries. In this regard, Russian President Vladimir Putin assured that he will discuss a revision of the agreement with his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan during the next summit of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. The United Nations expressed serious concern over the ongoing cholera outbreak in Syria after a total of 26 cases were confirmed in the country. The Syrian Health Ministry said in a statement that 2 people died from cholera in the northern city of Aleppo, while 20 cases were confirmed in the same city, 4 in the coastal city of Latakia and 2 in the capital Damascus. It also stressed that necessary measures are taken to quell the spread of the disease, and hospitals have been provided with extra stock of medication in case of any increase of the confirmed cases. At a press briefing, spokesperson for the UN Secretary General, Stefan Dujarric, called for urgent response and concerned efforts to contain the outbreak and prevent further transmission.
Our colleague Imran Riza, who remains for the time being the UN resident and humanitarian coordinator in Syria, expressed serious concern yesterday over the ongoing cholera outbreak in Syria. The number of cholera cases so far is 20 in Aleppo, 4 in Latakia, and 2 in Damascus. The UN in Syria is calling on donor countries to provide urgent additional funding to contain outbreak and prevent it from spreading. We urge all concerned parties to ensure unimpeded and sustained access to affected communities, as well as support of neighboring countries to expedite the necessary approvals to ensure timely delivery of life-saving medicines and medical supplies.
Palestinian volunteers removed plastic waste from a beach in Gaza City as they take part in a campaign organized by the European Union mission in Palestine.
Today, under the auspices of the European Union, young men and women are participating in a beach cleanup so we can make Gaza beautiful. The campaign is wonderful, and the participants include hundreds of men and women.
I love volunteer work. We are participating in this event today to show the world our interest in the environment and how much we love for our society and country to be clean.
And teleSUR English continues to grow. Its signal now reaches Europe. You can order from your cable leader or tune it yourself. These parameters that you see on screen are in place since July 1st, and quite soon further changes will be implemented for the signals in the Middle East and Africa. Now more than ever, the world connects to us, and our stories are heard in other faraway nations. This news multi-platform will continue providing truthful content to oppose the hegemonic media's narrative and unfaithfulness to our audience. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. And now you can also follow us on TikTok at the account at teleSUR English, in which you will be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and much more. For teleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.